This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Here, Orlando Alzugaray. Hello.
Dude,
I got here first.
The AC was off, bro. The AC was off. I had to go turn on the AC. I'm like, damn, I'm a half hour in the show. It's getting a little muggy in here. I'm like,
if you would pay the electric bill, the landlord would keep the AC on. You know what? You got a tough landlord. What can I tell you?
Tell you, man. And you know what, Ira? This would be the perfect room up north because in the studio I have here, I insulated the whole thing, roof and all.
Sound.
The roof has insulation, okay? And I don't think you've ever even gone to a radio studio where all those little foam things are on the roof and everything. Yes. So this thing is tight. You never hear any echo in this room. This room is it's perfect. And it's the warmest room in the damn house. Okay? It doesn't matter. You could be cranking the house up at 68 and you walk in here and it's 70 something. And when it gets 70 something outside, if the AC is not on, boy, it's 80 something in this room. So if you were up north, this would be the room you would stick yourself in while it's 30 degrees outside or something like that, man. So
no, my wife's the same. Actually, I have the 2 TVs behind me, and I have 2 other TVs in this room, and I cover games remotely. Plus, I have this light on sometimes when I do TV. Also, my wife walks in here and she goes, "How do you deal with that?" Because you have all that stuff. It's just like you, all that electronics running also. So yeah, so I'm probably giving myself some horrible disease with 4 TVs running at the same time. But hey, it's efficient.
Yes. You're right about that. You are right about that. All right. I can't say enough about what happened in Portland the other night. It's just adversity, and very few teams can overcome the kind of adversity. You get 2 players ejected on a team that's already short on players, and I know they were missing their guys too.
Correct,
but still. I mean, and you're the road team and everything. That was super impressive.
I mean, and the thing is, yes, it was almost an even score to start the game. They didn't have Lillard and McCollum. The Heat didn't have Adebayo and Butler. But still, it was a road trip for the Heat. Portland was home. Both teams had days off. To me, the difference was, sometimes it's the little guys. And you mentioned this also when you talk about Dolphins and team sports. What P.J. Tucker did to rally the other guys. He basically said, I'm the last veteran standing. I'm going to be the fulcrum. I'm going to be who everything works off of. Now I need you young kids to take over. He gave an inspiring locker room speech after Golden State when he told the guys, enough about the injuries, enough about COVID, enough about who's not here, enough about being on the road. We need to win. We're the Miami Heat. We don't have losing streaks against the Kings and the Warriors. We need to win. He delivers that speech. At halftime of the game at Portland in the Moda Center, he gets all the guys together. He says, look, I'm not telling all you guys you're going to be with the Miami Heat your entire careers. I'm not telling you 10-day guys you're going to be here next week. But what I'm telling you is you can make a statement in a moment like this that other people notice. That they say, you know what? Kyle Guy, we need a guy also. Haywood Highsmith. Who the hell is Haywood Highsmith? He comes out of nowhere. He gives us double-digit minutes in a victory. You still can make a name for yourself. Play with pride, and that's what they did at the end of that game. And without being too long-winded here, like usual, the Portland game reminded me of the Pacers game. There are certain teams that almost have quit on their seasons. They see themselves going nowhere. There's no direction from the coaching staff and the front office, and you can see the players just wandering. The Heat don't have that. They have a vision, they have a purpose, they have a direction, and you could see the difference. To me, that drew the Pacers game and the Blazers game as similarities because they were playing opponents wandering in the desert, and the Heat had a focus and they had a vision, and they closed out those games.
And, that's a credit to the Heat in so many ways because they're very woke. Let's use a modern term.
I'll be careful with that politically, but okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they're very woke on the way people think and their attitudes and their emotions. And a great example was the bubble where they created an environment. They said, all right, we're going to have our guys stuck here for a couple of months. They put the pictures of their families and they started doing all those kind of different things. where they tried to create an environment that was more family oriented. So that in a way they find a psychological way, and this is back to the Riley sticking his head in an ice bucket or whatever. They try to reach their players emotionally, physically, discipline wise, all those kind of things, but they try to create an environment that gives them motivation, whether it's 31-10, whether it's Rex Chapman 39 points. I mean, we just look at the history of this team. There really is never any quit. And somehow or another, the players are always fighting for wins, no matter what's going on.
That's just a matter of pride, Big O. And I'll give you a couple of.
But it's them. But that's them. The Kings don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you the corollaries, okay? It's like I can't always get out on the road now because of COVID, but I'm still going to do the best job I can. So I wait for the NBA officials report to come at 2:30 in the morning on Wednesday. And even though it's damn late here, I write that story because people want to know what the officials were saying about the Lowry ejection and the Hero ejection. It's late. It's like I have this friend in radio. You might have heard of him. I don't know if you know him. I'm not going to use his nickname. I'll use his regular name, Orlando Alzugaray, where terrestrial radio decides to do something and he decides, I'm going to do the best damn job I can with the resources I have. That's who the Heat are. They're not, these guys are on COVID. This guy had thumb surgery. This guy is out with a tailbone injury. Who do we have now? And I wrote this in my Ask Ira the other day. I don't know if you and your wife watch TV together late at night and watch that show on Food Network called Chopped, where they get these baskets of food and they have to decide from all this crap what they're going to make out of it. And I wrote in my Ask Ira, that's Eric Spoelstra. He opens his basket up and he has calf livers and he has crow's feet and he has frog's eyes, and yet he makes something palatable that turns into something. I compared him to Ted Allen, the host of that show. And a matter of fact, I'm going to let you deep inside Ask Ira. The question that I used that day was from a former NBA scout who wrote me after watching the game in Portland, who noticed what Eric Spoelstra did with as little as he had, and he was so impressed that his question was, stop the balloting, Eric Spoelstra's Coach of the Year. Because Eric Spoelstra doesn't lament pregame or postgame who's not here. I hate the quote. You and I spoke about it. We spoke about it with Clay on our Wednesday show. We talk about it all the time in these accurate Pembroke Pines reports. We have enough. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's like the emperor with no clothes. You have no clothes on. You don't have enough. No. But he doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't go in that direction. And that inspires his players. Where Kyle Guy goes, I'm enough. Where Max Struz
because goes, he's saying we have enough because he's saying to Kyle Guy, I have enough because I believe in you, Kyle Guy, and I'm going to go play you. And Kyle Guy rewards him. So, yes, you're correct.
It's like that. If you remember way back in Saturday Night Live, that Stuart Smalley thing, I'm good enough. I'm happy enough. Come on, Michael Jordan. You can say it to me. That's what it is. Eric Spoelstra convinces his players they have enough, and they walk out on that court, and they puff their chests, and they don't give a damn if anyone says, who the hell is Haywood Highsmith? He says, I'm here to win.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the two issues that went on in that game. First of all, the Lowry ejection, which didn't seem like much, but here's the problem, and I got to ask you this because you have more experience than I do, but I do have the experience of being a beat guy, and I was a beat guy in the early days when I was actually allowed to be like right on the court, actually, to watch it back in the day. I was wondering, Ira, was there anything personal between those two before that we don't know about, that there's some kind of, who knows? We don't know what Lowry told them in walking by him, gave him some smart ass remark. And then I just wondered, because it just seemed like it was a sarcastic way of giving him the ball and that there was something. And this was like him saying, well, oh, really? F you. And here you go. And you're out.
So here's what happens. The NBA, just like with the players, the referees are in COVID protocol. There was a point, I think a third of all referees were out of action. They are shuffling these guys' schedule like crazy. The NBA generally does not want the same officials working the same team in the same week. Look, moments happen in games, you move on from them. All of a sudden, this official, who's called a non-staff official, when you need extras to bring them in, when Clay Ferraro fills in on your show, he's not the host, but he's the host for this show or whatever. Okay, so this official, the first ever NBA official from Canada, had worked WNBA games and G League games. All of a sudden, he worked the Heat's game Sunday in Sacramento, and he gave Eric Spoelstra a technical foul. And there he was 4 days later, Wednesday in Portland, working in the game again. That would not happen under typical circumstances. They just got to get 3 officials. A lot of times you're watching NBA games now and you'll recognize 2 of them and have no idea who the 3rd official is. They're being called in from the WNBA, from the G League, from the auxiliary pool. They're being made to work double shifts. He might have flown in hours before the game. Everyone's under stress. It's like that old Billy Crystal movie, I'll Take Paris, when he ejects every player on the court because he's having a bad day. Fine. Yes. Kyle Lowry gets called for a foul early in the game. He doesn't agree with it. But if you go back and listen to the Heat game with the ambient sound, he is relentless toward this official. Probably telling him he doesn't deserve to be there. Who are you? I've never seen your face. On and on and on and on again. Then we get 2 minutes later in the game. Duncan Robinson, not Kyle Lowry, is called for a foul. Kyle tosses the ball, not as softly as he should. And you can see, if you slow down the video on that, it's all over the internet, Duncan Robinson in slow motion giving those words of, oh, no. He knows that Kyle has 1 T and just did something that could merit the 2nd T, and he gets ejected for that. Kyle has to know better. I love Kyle as a leader. I love Kyle's sass. It's who he is. You're talking about this chunky 6-foot point guard who is an all-NBA level player because of his savvy and his smart and his moxie. But he pushed the envelope too far there. That was not an incorrect ejection because the referee just had enough. Now, I believe if you're a young official, you confer with Benny Adams and Derek Richardson, the veteran officials, and go, what should I do here? And they'll give you the little nod like, yep, you're right. You have every right to do it. Or they'll give him the, you don't do that to a star. He didn't do that. He just did the heave-ho and sent him out. I thought his reaction was rash, but I thought Kyle was asking for it, and Kyle should have known better.
All right. The other one, obviously, Tyler, what's it called? Retaliates.
Against Nurkic, right?
Against Nurkic. And you know what? Chris Rock had that thing like, I don't condone it, but I understand.
Yes.
And I kind of, that's where I was, when I'm watching that, I don't condone it, but I understand because, you know, and we'll bring it full circle because we have some things to talk about there. You know, Markieff Morris,
yes,
did not make a basketball play.
Correct.
And so I you know, you got injured, but dude, you looked for it, bro. You made a dirty play, and to me, that's what Nurkic did. He did a dirty play, and Tyler got pissed. And if you're, and I know we're not on the street, but if that's a pickup game, that's a fight.
Okay.
That's a fight
but I want to unwind something here.
Go ahead.
The Markieff Morris take foul on Nikola Jokic was in a game that was double digits in the final minutes and was decided. There was no need for Markieff Morris to have a take foul there. You just play it out at the end. You pull your starters. You call it a night. Hey, teams lose. Teams get humiliated. Teams get humbled. It happens a lot at Mile High in Denver. So you have the running for shoulder shove against Jokic in the game in Denver, and you're asking for retaliation. Now, I don't think Jokic realized he was putting 300 pounds of force on him at the time, but that happened. Big O, the difference here is this was a competitive game. This was a 5-point game with more than enough time for Portland to win. So when Jusuf Nurkic, the Bosnian beast, set a screen on Tyler Hero, he did it as a basketball play. Maybe too physical of a basketball play.
Yeah.
But the referees did not call a foul on that play. So clearly, Big O, it was borderline enough to merit debate from the officials whether it was a foul. Now, Tyler took umbrage. I understand that. But the running two-hand shove we've already seen in the NBA can lead to a suspension, even though it came from this pipsqueak. Again, what happened with Jokic was 300 pounds on 240 pounds, 60 pounds of ballast that way. Tyler Hero's 195, Jusuf Nurkic is 295. It's 100 pounds the other way. It's like you getting angry at a brick wall and shoving it. The brick wall probably doesn't know it's happening. When Nurkic turns and throws an arm at Hero, it was with an open fist. My thought is this. The NBA has to penalize both. They probably give Nurkic a game because you swung. We know if you swing in the NBA, it's usually a problem. Tyler gets a fine. Could Tyler get suspended? Yes, he could. And if Tyler does get himself suspended with the Heat shorthanded, then I think Tyler Hero is just as culpable as Kyle Lowry was in his play. You've got to be able to keep your temper in those kind of moments. And I got to tell you, with the free throws that resulted from that play, Portland had a chance on a three-pointer to tie that game after the Heat led by 19 early, by 14 in the fourth quarter. You got to control your emotions better. We see it in hockey. We see it in football. We see it idiots in football throwing punches to a helmet. What are you thinking? Same thing there. You've got to keep your composure.
No, I'm with you there. You definitely got to keep your composure, but it just, I obviously I thought it was a foul. You know what I mean? For sure I thought it was a foul. Speaking of Markieff Morris, by the way, well, no, wait a minute. I think I got the wrong one. Let me.
No, I want the one dumbass 300-pounder or whatever. I know what you're looking for. Yeah.
Yes, we have it. We have it.
If you go to Markieff's timeline, yeah.
We have it. Wait a minute. Here we go. Yes, here we go. So yesterday, Legion Hoops tweets out, "This is wild. Markieff Morris has missed 30 straight games for the Heat since he got whiplash from his scuffle with Nikola Jokic on November 8th. Sheesh." So Markieff then retweets, shit. Wild about it? It's a real injury. Imagine having a 300-pound sloppy fat boy run full speed and make direct contact with your spine. I'll be back soon, like I said. So
sloppy fat boy. I retweeted it that way. Sloppy fat boy. You know what? Not a good idea, Markieff's thing. You got to move on. You don't want to draw the league's attention.
But this is who he is. Right. The Morris brothers have been this their entire careers.
They are recidivists. They are guys who have been the instigators more often than they've taken this back. I will say one thing, and your show, I think, was the first with it. I told you from the moment it happened, whiplash can be a 3-month injury. You spoke about your incident when you were in high school with your whiplash, how it does linger. So this is not malingering. This is not Markieff Morris playing it for sympathy or anything. This is a legitimate issue, and what he put up with, Jack, stop smiling at me like that. This is a legitimate injury that he missed time with, but this is not the way to come back. The way to come back is just to come back, to move aside. You've played Denver twice this season anyway. You're not going up against them. I think he could have been a little bit smarter and just realized, hey, the game is what matters. And Big O, it's what I told you earlier this week in our Acura Pembroke Pines report. Markieff Morris no longer is guaranteed minutes. Not the way that Max Strus has been playing, not the way that Omar Yurtseven has been playing, and not the way that Caleb Martin has been playing. That when I'm doing my rotation and I have my primary, please get Jack off the screen. He's starting to freak me out here.
Well, so we got to get the response from
Okay,
Keith.
go ahead, Big O.
No. Finish your point.
So my point is, Markieff is guaranteed nothing. And when you're guaranteed nothing, I think you spend more time working on the return than maybe working on your social media game.
By the way, Jack's agreeing with you the entire time. So Keith then said, "I said what I said, Heat Nation. I'll see y'all soon," with the smiley faces. And below, of course, our boy Brendan Tobin is agreeing. By the way, Brendan, nice job with the Strus video. That was really, really good. But anyway, he always does a great job with all those things. But so Keith, he didn't like expected. He didn't back down from what he said.
He is who he is, yes.
Yes. And so the question I have for you is, should the Heat worry about any kind of future? Oh, wait a minute. Is even Denver's not on the schedule
anymore?
Right?
No, they play them twice.
Okay. All right. So they don't have to worry till next year, and he may not even be here next year. So okay, that's.
Well, but here's the thing,
unless it's the NBA Finals between Denver and Miami.
Fair enough. But Big O, let's bring it back to basketball, okay? Let's say that he get back to their traditional starting lineup. Everyone's healthy, hopefully mid-January. So it's Bam, it's Tucker, I'm going to put Robinson for now. We can debate that later. Robinson, Butler, and Lowry. So we know
off the bench Robinson.
I know, but that was his first game back. So we know obviously Hero's going to be 6th man, even with the struggles. Probably Deadman or another big man 7th. I'm not sure.
Wait a minute. He came off the bench, but Strus was starting. Going, yeah, you belong on the bench. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The way he played. So I'm saying is, I'm not so sure that Markieff Morris plays ahead of Caleb Martin right now. So I think Markieff Morris should be more concerned about earning his time back. Yes, Caleb Martin. Now, Caleb Martin's a smaller power forward. He's actually a 2. He's a 2-3. But he's so versatile. They have started him at 4 in Markieff Morris's and PJ Tucker's absence. So that's a possibility. It's going to be
And
fascinating.
he's a three-way player, something that Markieff isn't.
Yes.
He plays offense, he plays defense, and he can hit the three. And he can hit it even on a more efficient level than Markieff Morris.
And he stays off social media. So that's another check in his box right there.
That's true. No, it's interesting. The Mad Dog, rest in peace, Mad Dog. He used to say, "There's a shoeless man outside the door waiting to take your job."
All right.
And we're watching Markieff Morris, Dwayne Dedman, and Duncan Robinson. That injuries or COVID are not a help this year because
I don't want to belabor the segment here because we'll be back with a couple more next week from Acura Pembroke Pines. But I will say this: if you go to your chat net right now and people slam that like button and also go on your chat, the debate of Strus and Robinson is legitimate. It's one you can have legitimately. The debate of Yurtseven and Dedman is legitimate. And as we've just added here on the Acura Pembroke Pines report, the debate right now of Caleb Martin and Markieff Morris is legitimate. That's a testament to their depth. That's a testament for guys who step up and say, I'm going to seize the moment. It's fascinating. It gives you and I so much fodder that I know other sports shows in town might go, oh my God, the Dolphin season's over. What do we talk about now? Oh, we will have plenty to talk about with this Miami Heat team because of this roster's composition.
Well, the best two teams in town take over now after the Dolphin season is done because the Heat and the Panthers are the best teams in town. The Panthers are the best team in town.
Well, maybe Canes basketball. We should give them a little love also with the way they're playing.
Yeah, no, I know they're playing well. It's just Cod Ira, when we grew up with, Pat Ewing and, guys that were in Michael Jordan, all these guys, we were watching for 3 or 4 years in the league, and we were watching when we're watching UNLV and Duke for 2 years.
Right.
Larry Johnson against Leighton.
I agree. Yeah.
The college basketball that we grew up with
is not one and done. Right. It's not transitory.
It's not even one and done anymore. Now they even lost those guys. Those guys are going to the G League now.
Well, not only that, but also guys in midseason. You saw with Kyrie Irving and others, like, I've had enough. It's almost like the college football also. Okay, I've had enough. I'm done.
It's just, I know, and it's just, I don't look at college basketball like what it used to be. You know what I mean? I kind of find now, instead of looking at college basketball like it was the level under the NBA, I'm now looking at college basketball like it's a hair above high school.
Yes,
that's my problem
with the G League, with everything, unless they've added also. It's got to water down, and that's what college football is so afraid of. Yes,
think about those Boeheim teams with Billy Owens and Cycli and Thompson and Sherman Douglas and Rowe and all these guys. Are you kidding me, dude? They were like rolling out like NBA players like it's going out of style. And I'm watching Pat Ewing, Dikembe Mutombo, and who's the other, and Zoe. I mean, are you kidding me, dude? It's just a different. That's my problem. But yes, and listen, Larinaga is. I mean, he's a gold standard when it comes to college coaching. I really love Larinaga. He's an awesome coach. It's just that sport has suffered so much. All right. So we talked about the rise of Strus and Duncan, obviously, the Tyler ejections, all of that. Injury updates. What do we know, Ira?
I think there's a chance Jimmy could come back tomorrow in Phoenix, but I think because they won in Portland and they're 2-2 on this trip and they're still 9 games over 500, and at worst they come back 8 games over 500, maybe they use prudence because there's also 3 days off before they play again after the game in Phoenix. So I think they're more careful there. I think the rest of the Heat players and protocols, which is Gabe Vincent, Marcus Garrett, and Udonis Haslem, are very close. It's a matter of whether they want to fly them cross country to Phoenix or not. I think all 5 Heat players who were brought on, or 6 players on emergency 10-day contracts, probably will be history, including our good friend Mario Chalmers, by the start of next week. The Kyle Guy thing will be difficult. He contributed, but again, when you have the shooting of Strus and Duncan Robinson, it's not as critical to have the shooting of Kyle Guy, but he'll be on their radar. He'll be a guy, if they make a 2-for-1 trade, someone they could go back to later in the season. So it's like PJ Tucker said, you made a name for yourself. Someone noticed. Good job, guys.
Yeah, but you were talking about this on the Palo Rack City Inside the Paint show that guys are, once their 10-day contracts are about to expire, there are teams that are already, you
Yes.
know, hey, when you're done here, come
Right.
there.
And now, yes.
I can't imagine Kyle Guy is not going somewhere
No,
else
no.
in a
Utah right
shooting
now was
league
the only team
right
in the
now.
NBA who didn't have a COVID case, and now all of a sudden Joe Ingles and now Rudy Gobert and others are following. So I think Utah's going to be sort of the collection agency for a lot of these guys as they're let go. Absolutely, Big O.
Yeah, so there's no way they can keep Guy on their G League team. In other words,
No, the only way they can is if they cut Marcus Garrett from his two-way contract and sign Kyle Guy to a two-way. Interesting, intriguing. Maybe they feel there's no market for Garrett, that they could stash Garrett instead. Who knows? You have till January 20th to guarantee your two-way contracts, so there is a little wiggle room there.
but Garrett, in a way, I know Garrett brings the Briante defense, but he's actually a slightly better offensive player too, right? And that's the problem, that Garrett brings
A
a
little two-way.
dimension,
Yes.
yeah, a dimension that's a little different than Kyle Guy. And like you mentioned on our show earlier in the week, you got a ton of shooting.
Yes.
So it's not like you lack it. Now that all these guys have all, you know, elevated themselves, including Gabe Vincent, by the way, which we did not
Another
mention.
guy. Perfect.
Another
Right. So
guy
with Gabe Vincent back also, you wouldn't need him. So that's what you do. You don't make a personal move just to take a 15th man on. You make a personal move if someone you feel you need to play rotation minutes. I don't think that'll be the case with Kyle Guy. God bless him.
But then on the flip side, and this is blasphemous now, okay? But
Don't.
Dedmon gets healthy, Bam gets healthy, the elevation of Yurtseven, you know, I'm just saying, I know
the Udonis Haslem thing is a non-starter. I could argue it from a common sense standpoint. You can, everyone can, but we know it's not going anywhere because the Heat won't. So I'm not going to.
He can stay on the coaching staff and be
I'm not
available.
going to bang my head against the wall. You are correct that every single name you mentioned contributes more. I'm just not going to do it because they've said, here's the rules. It's like Fight Club. You don't mention Fight Club and you don't mention Udonis Haslem.
Kid can shoot, bro. I'm just saying, might as well throw another shooter in there, you know? And you know what? It's really also the rise of Yurtseven. That's the thing too, because by the way, who's
Yurtseven is the next year player.
I know he's the better. I know that Dedmon's the better defender,
right?
But is Yurtseven the better rebounder?
But it's a next year thing. Dedmon right now, in a moment of truth, you trust more. Next year, it's like Hassan Whiteside. He had that breakthrough the first year. They trusted him more the second year. It'll be the same for Big O. Then, unlike Hassan, he has to sustain also.
Do we have to trash Yurtseven with a Hassan Whiteside comparison?
Hassan Whiteside had a pretty damn good career. And if Omer Yurtseven has that kind of career, I wouldn't complain either.
I just hope Yurtseven isn't wired the same way. You know what I'm saying? Okay?
I don't think he talks to fish, if that's what you're asking.
Or leaves semi-automatic rifles in a car. You know,
I'm not going anywhere with that stuff. That's all you. You might be talking about Brian Tannehill's wife there also. So I'll leave that alone.
Also, yeah, she's kind of loose with her guns. All right, so Ira, what are you working on in the Sun Sentinel? So
story on PJ Tucker and the ultimate example of leadership, that you're on a one-year contract, a small contract, but you care and you want other guys to sustain their careers. The ultimate in leadership. I'm waiting for the announcement from the NBA later today. Because you have a game where Portland plays tonight, they will announce the discipline today on both Nurkic and Tyler Hero. So I'm curious about that. I'm curious if there's any words of remorse from Kyle Lowry, and he practiced today in Phoenix. I doubt it. So there'll be a little bit of news today. You'll also have a PJ Tucker feature in your local neighborhood Sun Sentinel, and it'll be published at sunsentinel.com as soon as I'm done with this interview.
And by the way, I just thought of it. Hero suspension, maybe you hurry Butler back. Hero stays, maybe you say, Jimmy, we get 3 more days.
Right.
Hero's back. You know, we're all right. We got
it all ties together. Yes.
Yeah, it may be. By the way, one more thing before I let you go. I know they're really good at home. They're 17-4. Are they missing anybody?
No, as a matter of fact, Jay Crowder and their other guys who were in protocols are coming back also. That's a hell of a lineup with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Bridges and Crowder and Ayton and what they have. That's an NBA title contender. It'll be a good test. But you know what? After a week and a half on the road, I think the Heat might just be dragging their heels trying to get back home, and they deserve it. They've done what they needed to do. They took 2 of the first 4. They're fine.
There you go. Ira did his job. You do yours. You subscribe to the Sun Sentinel and support all of our local journalists. And make sure you follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. You have a fantastic weekend, sir. We will talk on Tuesday.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. The great Ira Winderman. And next week will be the last week that he joins us on a Tuesday, because then we'll switch it to Mondays after that. So
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.